All right,
No,
welcome to the 2019 IHSA Playoff Pairing Show, starring myself, Dennis Harding. We got Jeff Dillon.
Wait a minute, starring.
And special guest star, because we weren't sure about Kevin last night. So that's how I announced it on the during the game.
Oh, whether I was going to show up or not?
Special guest star, Kevin Webb, yeah.
You never do know.
No, you never know. I have to fix some things because it still says 2018 on here.
Uh-oh.
So, Jeff, you want to walk us through what's going on tonight?
I have no clue. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's the pairing show for the 2019 IHSA playoffs. You just said that.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to go through as the brackets are announced. We're going to go through them, and we're going to do every class 1A through 8A, and as soon as we're going to take a little bit of a break between 3A and 4A, and we'll get hopefully Coach Reentz on the phone, providing everything works okay. And we'll go from there. Talk a little bit about some area teams here in a minute, and see where everybody's at. There's a little bit of different stuff going on with the Chicago Public League and the strike going on up there. So,
good. Okay, Terry was checking the stream to make sure we were going through,
okay.
so I just wanted to make sure everything was going through. So yeah, we're going to talk about the strike for the Chicago Public League. We could probably get that out of the way pretty quick, right?
yeah, they're on strike.
They're on strike, but IHSA has said that as long as you qualify, it doesn't even matter how many games you play anymore. They met about that last week. It doesn't matter as long as you qualify for the playoffs. We're going to go ahead and seed you anyway, and you have to be back in school by Wednesday, the 30th. And you have to get 3 practices in before you can play your first game. If you do not get 3 practices in, those teams will forfeit. And the team they were scheduled to play will get a first round bye, but it will not count as a home game for that team if they're, let's say Wilmington got a public league school, even though we don't think they're going to. If they got a public league school and they forfeited, that would not cost Wilmington their first round home game.
Oh, it does not.
It does
They
not.
would still get the next round at home as long as they were the higher seed.
Right, as long as they were the higher seed and the other team didn't.
So that won't count against them as the playoffs go, further they go.
No, not at all. Right.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen so we can actually have a full field, because that'd be kind of rough on some of the teams to not get to play, especially some of the teams that aren't as good. That's their chance to get in the playoffs, to get one game at least, the experience of it. So hopefully it works out.
So, yeah. So we got that. Pairings start about 8 o'clock. We got about 15 minutes. And we'll start breaking those down as they come through. They start with 1A. Usually every 10 minutes or so, they'll release the next ones. Hopefully the website works for us. I can put them up online, so you'll see them on the stream when they come up. And then we'll talk about them. We have 5 teams in our conference, the ICE conference that made the playoffs. Coal City, undefeated, looking really good this year. And 4A, they're going to run into some very good 4A football teams. So, we wish them the best. Wilmington, 24 years, straight years, making the playoffs for the Wildcats. First round, Jeff, what do you predict them? I know Jeff likes to prognosticate over there.
For Coal City you're talking about?
No, for Wilmington.
Oh, for Wilmington? I think it's going to be Lyle.
You think it's going to be Lyle?
I think it's probably a good guess right now.
Okay.
But, who knows? Seneca's in this year again in 3A, and they're 5-4. It just depends on how things lay out, I guess. From what I looked at today, there's 4 undefeated teams in 3A, and they're all down south. So all the northern teams, more than likely, are going to be starting at 8-1. And Wilmington should be the second seed if it works out the way I looked at it today. And Byron will get the first seed in the north.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
And the biggest thing too is they're talking this year that the enrollments are pushing up a little bit. So a lot of the couple of the top 3A schools might get pushed up a little bit, so that could also adjust how many southern and northern teams we have. So, there's always that slight possibility we could sneak into the southern bracket, which most every year we usually root for that.
Right,
so
we root for it, but it
doesn't happen very
happens,
often. But
right.
And the southern bracket is loaded with, I realize
all
it's
the
the
undefeated
South,
teams,
but
right.
all your undefeated teams are in the southern bracket. Williamsville, which we're familiar with.
Yeah.
Fairfield.
Yeah, Fairfield, Vandalia, and then Beardstown. I know Beardstown, they play in it's like a 1A, 2A conference, so it's a really small. But they're undefeated, so they're still probably a decent team. So
I noticed also Mount Carmel made it in 3A this year.
Jeff,
Which
Jeff's
which I
favorite
have
Southern
nightmares from
Illinois.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Our audience of one, I think, was down there.
I believe
For
we
that
were,
one.
I
You
believe
hear 'em
we were
laughing.
getting pennies thrown at us, batteries.
yeah.
It was an
All kinds
interesting
of-
I heard
situation.
dirt clods. I heard.
Yeah,
I
it
did
was,
not make that one. So
Well, I think a few years after we played down there, they actually got warned by the IHSA, and if they had any more complaints, they would not be able to host
Yeah.
any more games. So
Yeah.
it was getting out of hand.
the snake pit, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
the snake pit. Yeah.
yeah.
Not good memories there, that's for sure.
No.
So anyway, back to we said Lyle made it in. Piatone, they
Piatone,
made it
yep.
in, and then Mantino was able
Yeah.
this weekend.
That was kind of a surprise too. At the start of the year, I don't think anybody thought really a whole lot about Mantino when they beat Piatone and beat Lyle.
Right.
That was big for them this year. So
Yeah, because they started out with Canton. They lost to Canton.
They
Then
got
had
beat by Morris, yeah.
Yep. So and Morris made it in.
Yeah.
And they should be 5A. Is what we're.
they're
looking
going to be
at?
right on the border, but probably trending to be in a 5A team this year.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting stuff with the Chicago Public. I mean, there's one Chicago Public school that had 7 games. It ended up 3-4 and winning their conference, and they made it in. And they IHSA, when was it, Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever it was?
It was
Yeah.
Friday. Friday is
They
when they
waived
made the decision.
they waived the 8-game requirement, and I don't. It was my understanding it was only for certain Chicago Public League schools.
I think there was only 3 teams that were involved. Actually,
yeah.
yeah.
There were
So,
3 teams.
But that's interesting. Was it Joliet West was 4-5 this
4-5,
year, and they
yeah.
won their conference,
Right.
which is interesting. So there was that kind of threw a couple of little
Yeah, I noticed
curveballs in the
there
whole
were
thing.
a few 4-team conferences, and I didn't think you were allowed to have only 4 teams in a
Yeah,
conference.
I'm not sure because I know, like in the Catholic League ones, those don't get automatic bids. You just have to buy whatever your record is and you get in. So I'm not sure, but maybe they might have a deal with the Chicago Public League
Right.
too. I'm not sure. So
So
It could be. That's like being an independent.
Okay,
Is there
yeah.
is there independent schools
Yeah.
anymore?
yeah,
Mount
Mount
Carmel,
Carmel's because
yeah.
they play.
Mount Carmel's still independent.
They
They do-
actually they
Indiana,
do play in
right?
the conference, but their conference is out of Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana,
so they're
yeah.
considered an independent team, and I think Breeze Matter Day is still an independent who we've played in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a few of them out there.
And they made it in. They're going to be 3A this year.
So let's see what else we didn't really talk about. So they take 256 teams.
Yep.
Top records of 256 teams right now. Only 2 teams we saw did not make it in at 5 and 4. All the
I
rest.
think it was just one. There was
Was
one
it
at 5 and 4, one at 5 and 3.
Oh, 5 and 3.
Yeah,
That's right. So there were just 2 teams, or 1 team that was 5 and 4, 1 at 5 and 3 that were eliminated. So they take the 256. They arrange them by enrollment. They take the lowest 32, and those will be 1A. The next 32, those will be 2A, et cetera, and then they seed those 1 through 32, right?
Mm-hmm.
Split up the bracket by north and south. I don't know how they do it, if they start in the south or start in the north, but they take the north 16 teams, and then they put those in one bracket and seed it if accordingly, and then the other 16 in the other bracket. So then the finals in DeKalb this year.
right.
So they'll meet up in DeKalb. The south and north will end up meeting up in DeKalb. The only bracket that doesn't do that is 7 and 8A.
Right, they just go
1 through 32
straight 1 to
because
32.
there's really not too much north and south. The only south team is really like East St. Louis, right?
And they're only 5. They're in 5A
Oh, and they're
this year, or
5A
5 or
this year.
6A. So
And so there aren't too many teams from the
Yeah.
south that are seeded.
and then in the lower levels, they also after they go to 1 to 32, then north and south. Then sometimes they'll even go to 1 to 8 and go to quadrants, just depending on the geography of it and where everybody lays out. So they don't have to have. They try to keep it I think it's under 150 miles if they can.
Yeah.
As far as for the travel, so sometimes that's hard, but sometimes that's also why you see teams in the same conference will play. They play right away in the first round, which I always wish they didn't do that. It's nice to get to play somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. Do we want to take a quick commercial?
Sure.
Have a few
Yeah.
commercials? All right. We'll go ahead and do that. We will be back shortly.
For computer help. They have built numerous websites, including ours here at the Christian Internet Sports Network. Quigley Technology Services also specializes in virus removal, so your computer will get back to full speed now. And you can trust them for first-class computer repair, including free local pickup and delivery, plus on-site service, including after hours. Contact Quigley Technology Services at 815-293-7844 or stop by at quigtech.com. That's QUIG tech.com. Phelan Acres Bible Church is the perfect place if you are looking for a church to call home. They have services every week, including Sunday school at 9:45, morning worship at 11, and Wednesday night prayer meetings at 7. Phelan Acres Bible Church is located at 26009 Willow Lane in Wilmington, Illinois. And for more information, call 815-476-7818. That's 815-476-7818. If you're looking for more information on Wilmington Wildcats football, then check out the Catbackers every Wednesday at 7 at Tuffy's. Each week, Coach Reentz goes over game film, takes questions from the audience, and presents the Offensive and Defensive Player of the Week awards. Plus, you'll get to hang out with other Wildcat fans and get the inside scoop on next week's game. So be sure to check out the Catbackers every Wednesday at 7 at Tuffy's. Teresa's Family Styling Salon in Wilmington is an all-ages salon that will style your hair for that special look. They offer cuts, perms, and coloring for any fashion. They also carry Paul Mitchell and Brocato products. Teresa's Family Styling Salon is located in the Southgate Plaza in Wilmington, and you can call for an appointment at 815-476-1955. That's 815-476-1955. Pro Real Estate is a family-owned business established in 1983. Its staff and sales agents work in all areas of real estate sales, from first-time homebuyers to experienced investors. Located at 506 South Water Street in Wilmington, clients are welcome to stop by to discuss their real estate needs or visit our website at pro-homes.net. For a private consultation, contact us at 815-476-7916. Breezer Construction Company is a proud supporter of Wilmington Wildcats football on the Christian Internet Sports Network. For over 40 years, Breezer Construction Company has led the way in providing quality construction to the industrial, utility, and pipeline industries. For more information on Breezer Construction Company, go to breezerconstruction.com. That's breezerconstruction.com. Or call 815-521-0900. When you need the very best representation on your side, the attorneys and staff at Odekirk Allred and Associates are here to help with extensive professional experience in cases involving criminal defense, divorce, custody, personal injury, residential real estate, and driver's license reinstatement. Odekirk Allred and Associates and its diverse team is prepared to commit personalized attention and aggressive representation to achieve positive outcomes for your most stressful legal issues. Odekirk Allred and Associates has a team of highly skilled attorneys from the area, including Wilmington locals. Odekirk Allred and Associates takes pride in its communication skills and unmatched reputation for success. Contact Odekirk Allred and Associates at 815-740-1700 or stop by their new office location in Wilmington at 1095 South Water Street for your free consultation today. The launching pad is back and the kitchen is now open 7 days a week. The iconic Route 66 restaurant is now serving Italian beef, Chicago-style hot dogs, malts, shakes, and their famous Dirtworm sundaes. During your stop at the launching pad, check out the Route 66 gift shop and get your picture taken with the Gemini Giant. Cruise on over to 810 East Baltimore Street in Wilmington and visit the launching pad today.
We're about ready. I was gonna say.
Here we are.
Oh,
Welcome
we're
back to the
back.
Christian
Whoa.
Internet Sports Network.
We kind of miss having John here to run the show a little bit.
Yeah. I just turn it up and let's go. So, Plath Herrings, we're getting ready to go here any minute. Hopefully they'll go live here. We're on location at Terry's Shed, and right now we have 4 TVs running, and none of them have the Plath Pairing Show on it. We're hoping it comes on one of them. We're watching Michigan, I think, throttle Notre Dame right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a darn shame.
I hope Kevin Feeney's watching it.
Yes.
Is he at the game? He's not. Is this at Notre Dame or is that Michigan?
That's at Michigan.
They're in
Oh, okay.
Michigan, yeah.
I'm sure he's not there. Sorry, Fiends. Anyway, getting back to high school football. Districts, while we're waiting here. supposedly in 2021, I think.
Yeah, after
2
next
years.
The
yeah.
proposal.
Proposal, right?
And, now, right now, it's just a proposal, right? Or is
No,
did
it
they-
passed. It passed.
It passed, but they're gonna
districts passed.
they're going to re-look at that.
I think after it passed, and then somebody sat down and did what the districts would look like for each area. That's when coaches realized this is a mistake.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that hurt it, too, is when they had the original vote for it for the districts, they let every school in the state vote on it, whether they had a football team or didn't have a football
Right.
team. And they thought, well, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense because these schools that don't have football really don't care what's going to happen. So I think they decided after the first of the year they're going to revisit again and maybe take another look at it. So,
And the districts are just for football.
correct,
Right,
yeah.
just for football. And
So-
that's where they match you up to a school as close to your enrollment
Yeah.
as possible
And closest,
closest
area, yeah.
You still get a schedule one or two
It's
opponents.
usually, they usually
right?
put 8 teams in the conference, so you'd play 7 teams. You'd have to still go find 2 non-conference games.
Okay, it looks like we do have it. We ended up having to get it over the antenna because it does not look like it is on DirecTV.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, back to the district thing. So, you end up playing your teams, and then the
I
top
think it's
four.
the top 4 teams of every conference automatically, regardless of record, the top 4 teams would make the playoffs every year.
Is it still 256 teams, or is it more than that?
No, I think they'd make it so it's still the same. It'd
It's
still
the
be
same. Okay,
Well, that's one of the proposals. Another proposal is that everybody makes the playoffs,
right.
and then or they'd have 48 teams in each division, and so there's still a lot of stuff up in the air. So I don't really think they know what they're going to do
Right.
yet.
Yeah, and I think then they proposed another something else where if you would get at least 2 or 3 wins,
Yeah.
you get in, and all the higher seeded teams get a first round bye. They start the playoffs a week earlier. But then if you're really bad and you don't want to play, you can petition to
You can
not
opt
play.
out, right, and play
You
another
can
team
opt
that opted out. Yeah, so
So
hopefully that doesn't come to pass because it's not doesn't sound like a great system.
it's just, it comes down to this. You have teams leaving conferences to schedule to go to other conferences to get their 5 wins
Right,
to
to make
make
the
it in the
playoffs,
playoffs.
yeah.
We've seen it with Dwight. We see it with Seneca. These, and some other teams in the conference are scheduling what they think are easier opponents in their non-conference games to try to just do anything they can to get to 5 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they figure something out here soon. They got another year. It's 2 years from when it was passed. So they got next year we'll have the ice conference again, and then the year after that is when we would start districts. So yeah.
But like I said, that's 2 years down the road, and I'm sure it'll change a lot by then. So
Oh yeah.
we'll stick with what we have for right now.
Do we have the 1A pairings coming out already?
I think they're getting close. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So they're starting them right off the bat.
So let's see if we can pull those up. Terry's going to see if he can print them up for us. We'll get them to you. I can see if I can get them on the laptop here. Be easier than.
You want me to go down them here, Dennis, while you're looking, or
Sure.
'Cause I can see them. I don't know if I pronounce these right. Anawana. This is 1A, and this is the I'm gonna say the northern bracket probably, right?
Yeah.
This Anawana Weathersfield Co-op is playing number 16 Lewis. Okay.
Oh, see, I knew that was going to
Doggone.
happen.
They
That's
clicked
why I
on
said.
us, so yeah.
Okay, so that's the first game. Now we're going to. And this looks like the other side of the bracket for the North, I'm thinking. Yeah, this is Leona Winslow, number 2. Is playing number 15 Aurora Christian. Hope Academy, number 7, playing number 10 Orangeville. Number 3 Aquin is playing number 14 Fulton. Number 6 Princeville is playing number 11 Stockton. Some familiar names there. This looks like first Southern bracket.
Yeah, this is South.
Central A&M Havana, number 1 playing number 16 Havana, number 8 Fisher playing number 9 Cumberland, number 4 Arcola playing number 13 Tri-County Co-op, and number 5 Greenfield Co-op. I don't remember what the NW stands for. It's playing number 12 Brown County.
All exciting
I'm
matchups.
gonna be
Yes.
off a little bit on mine that I did this afternoon. By at least one team. Number 2. This is the other side of the southern bracket. Argenta Arena is number 2 is playing number 15 North Green. Number 7 Carleton is playing number 10 Arthur Lovington. Number 3 Camp Point Central playing number 14 Salt Fork, and number 6 Athens is playing number 11 Casey Winfield.
Westfield.
Westfield. What did I say? Winfield?
Yeah, Winfield.
Oh, well.
I know one of the first things I noticed is I see Watseka is not in 1A, and they kind of had them right on the bubble, so that looks like it's going to push some teams up a little bit.
Yep. Yeah.
So that could be good and keep a couple of teams in 4A we'd like to see there for the Wildcats this year.
Yep. Yeah. I think when I looked at this afternoon, I think I'm going to be off by at least one team, but that's okay.
It's a lot of the teams in the 1A are from that same. I don't know the name of the conference offhand, but it's got the Lena Winslow and Morrison and Ottawa Marquette, and they're always really good. Forreston, they're usually one of the champions every year in 1A, so they usually seem to have a dominant hold on the 1A field.
I was going to try to look that up here, Kevin, but
The IHSA
website
has
has slowed way
gone
down.
to a
Yeah.
crawl. Yeah.
Yeah.
This usually happens every year.
Yes, every year.
Well, everybody's excited to see what's going on, so they're all pushing the button at the same time. And sometimes that doesn't work well.
Maybe if we hit refresh, we'll get a different different opponent.
And I don't, we didn't say this before, but Mr. John Chappell, is usually here with us.
Yeah.
And this is basically his stream and equipment and stuff. Where is he anyway?
He's in Nashville. Normally he's there
Tennessee,
for the
volleyball tournament?
Okay.
Tennessee, not Nashville, but he's down in
Well,
Tennessee.
that's in Tennessee.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. But it's not Nashville. He flies in anyway. But anyway, he's down there for a tournament that he does every year. Usually it's the first weekend of playoffs, so he's able to be here for this. But for some reason, just the way the month fell and the weekends fell, he ended up being at that tournament, so he left me with all the equipment and
Said good luck.
good luck, especially with this motley crew of fools.
Yeah.
I am still getting no pairings at all. I refresh
Yeah.
and nothing loads, so
Looks like they're going to head into the 2A. I'll go ahead and run those down. So in the 2A, again, this looks like this would be more of a northern bracket. You got Knoxville, 1 seed versus Rockford Christian, and then you'd have Watseka, who I just mentioned, playing Tremont. That's an 8 and a 9 matchup. Sterling Newman Catholic, who we have a little bit of history with, playing Orion. And then Gibson City Melvin Sibley playing Rushville. They're the 2-time defending state champs, so they do have a loss this year, but they're still probably got a chance at a good run this year. So that'd be one of the quadrants. The second one I got running down here, you got Mononk Fieldcrest at 9-0 versus West Carroll. And then Elgin St. Edward will be playing against Chicago Orr. Again, as we spoke earlier, whether or not that gets to play or not. And then you have Clifton Central, kind of a local team, 9-0. They're the 3 seed playing Unity Payson Co-op. And then Mercer County playing Chicago Christian, who that's another team we've played in the past too. So looks like there's some decent matchups in the 2A.
yeah, I was gonna say I would never. Oh, go ahead.
And then the next round, we'll get in the South. You got Payne as a 1 seed at 8-1. Redbud against Redbud 5-4. 50 and Oakwood at 7-2 playing Nokomis Co-op. And you got Bismarck Henning versus El Dorado. And then Nashville versus Villa Grove Heritage Co-op. So no undefeated ones in that side. I see there's 3 8-1s and there's 3 5-4. So not as many undefeateds. Sometimes in the lower classes you just don't see that because they do play. Sometimes they play up a little bit. And then the fourth one, this looks like this is a pretty tough quadrant here. You got Marora Forsyth, who's always very good, versus Cesar Valley. Chester versus Auburn. Decatur St. Teresa against Hamilton County. And Tuscola versus Flora. So that looks like Flora. So that looks like that's one of the tougher quadrants of those 4, I believe. But yeah, not as many undefeated teams in the 2A.
Not at all.
Yeah, just
no brackets.
Still not
yeah.
letting us print anything out, so it's kind of hard us to discuss the matchups because once they go off the TV,
Right.
our memories aren't quite that good to remember them all. We do
Well,
pretty
you did
well,
remember that Gibson City
Melvin Sibley,
I'm
yeah.
like, I don't. Okay, that was 4 letters on the TV, and you
Yeah.
knew that. So, got to nope.
but they were just showing there the Fieldcrest team. I think they're the overall 1 seed, and they started the season this year, and they played Reed Custer and beat them pretty handily. So it's not like they got a pretty good squad this year.
Nope. Now they're going to stay. We're not going to go to the 3A
Yeah,
ones.
they'll
Not the ones we want.
Yeah,
so.
we're having to watch this like on TV as well, so they'll talk about the 2A matchups, and then we'll get to the one we're the most interested in and see where the Wildcats end up at.
Yeah, every year it's, and sometimes it's right on, and then there's something like, how did they do this?
Yeah.
How did they figure this one out?
I don't know. So, but I'm like you were talking earlier about the teams jumping conference. I kind of hoping a little bit that we get to play Seneca. That'd be kind of interesting if we happen to get them in the first round. I don't know that we will, but I think that would be kind of nice to see that matchup again. They might not be as happy about it, but
Yeah, no, now the IHSA says go visit our new site when I click on the pairings.
oh,
So, yeah. So, Terry's maybe got something. He's got a map.
oh yeah,
He's got. He just handed me the. This is the 2A map.
yeah.
By the way, not only are we using Terry's shed, but we're using his paper, his printer, his computers, and his 25 TVs he's got in here.
If anybody's ever been to the NASA space station, this is kind of what it looks like down
Yeah.
here. I mean, you could probably run the space shuttle from here. It looks like so.
Yeah. Well, this looks pretty
Yeah, pretty straightforward,
straight-
north and south. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
I don't think in the lower levels they don't have that
Yeah.
big of a problem because there's a couple of quadrants that have a lot of those teams in that
Mm-hmm.
size. But looks like there's
What
a
was
couple.
that?
It sounded like a big pop.
There looks like there's a couple of drives though on that Bismarck Henning to El Dorado. That's kind of
Yeah.
over north of Champaign, and El Dorado was it's way down south. So that probably pushing that 150-mile deal they have.
Yeah. There is a couple here.
Yeah, and a couple they're more east to west. They're like
Is that Mendota has?
Yeah, I bet you the southern bracket they had more than so many that were than the 150, so that's why I just put
Yeah.
them at 16. Whereas the northern bracket they were able to break those up.
yeah, because that Menden Unity, which looks like it's on the Iowa border, they have to play at
They go to
Clifton.
Clifton, right?
Clifton. Yeah, that's a pretty good haul
Yeah,
too. That's
that's
all the way
fun.
across the street, so or
Yeah.
across the state.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
it's
Elgin and Chicago were the whatever the I can't.
yeah, that's probably the closest
Yeah, the
one. That's
closest
Chicago
to-
Christian, I think
yeah,
it was.
okay.
Yeah. But I'm sure this isn't as easy as we sit here and think it is to try to figure out all this stuff, and they got to do it in about they get about an hour and a half to figure this all out. So it's a pretty tough deal.
They knew all this stuff this morning.
Oh, did they? Is it a conspiracy, Jeff?
Yeah, it is. They knew.
Here's the thing: is now all of a sudden I'm getting stuff playing on this laptop that I'm broadcasting on. So if something's coming, they have a video.
Oh, here comes the
Here comes
3A.
3A.
So
Where everybody's waiting excitedly here.
right.
So Monticello won this last year 3A.
Right,
so.
they beat Byron. Yeah.
So in the what looks like North bracket, we have number 1 Princeton against number 16 North Boone, number 8 Piatone against number 9 Hall Township, number 4 Farmington against number 13 Seneca, number 5 Paxton Buckley Loda against number 12 Carver.
So we won't get to play Seneca as I was
No.
hoping for. So
Nope.
and that puts there's at least one Chicago school at Carver's out of
Well,
Chicago.
You
So
look
that's
at
one.
that bracket there. There's only 1, 1, 8, and 1 team. Number 2 Byron against number 15 Ailman. Number 7, help me out here.
Pecatonica.
Pecatonica against number 10 Harlan. Number 3 Wilmington will play number 14 Lyle, and number 6 Eureka against number 11 Dunbar. So, yeah. Wilmington
it's-
Lyle again.
yeah.
At least we'll have it at home, and it won't be a 3-day game again.
Well, hopefully.
So, hopefully
don't,
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way the weather's been this year, I wouldn't worry about
I think
that.
they're calling
so.
for snow.
They are calling
All
for
right,
snow
so we
this
get the
week.
South bracket. Number 1, Beardstown against number 16, Newton. Number 8, Greenville against number 9, Quincy Notre Dame. Number 4, Fairfield against number 13, Alton Marquette. Number 5, Mater Day against number 12, West Frankfort.
Yeah, and I was talking earlier at Quincy Notre Dame. That was another one of those teams they had listed as 2A all year. So that's another team that got bumped up.
Got
So
moved up, yeah.
But yeah, we played on that quadrant. We played Mater Dei before, so
All
that's,
right. Number 2, Williamsville against number 15, St. Joseph Ogden. Number 7, DuQuoin against number 10, Monticello. Number 3, Vandalia against number 14, North Mac. And number 6, Mount Carmel against number 11, Carlinville. And you got a couple undefeated 3A teams, Williamsville and Vandalia in that.
and DuQuoin and Mount Carmel have usually, they usually have pretty good programs. So that's a pretty nice bracket there.
So it looks like the 3A bracket actually came up on here. And looking at that the top part of the northern bracket.
Yeah, with the one with Piatone.
Yeah, Piatone at Spring Valley, right? Looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see who was. Oh, Byron was Princeton was the number 1. Okay, that's
Yeah.
the one. So Wilmington and Lisle, and the winner of that game plays the winner of Eureka and Dunbar. And then Byron and Rock Island Allman plays the winner of Durand and Chicago Harlan.
I wouldn't. How am I trying to say this? They should be a little bit afraid of that Rock Island Almond. They've been very good in the past, and they played in the 4A state championship just a few years ago. So even though they're 5-4, that could be a pretty tough first round opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did they end up splitting the North bracket is what it looked like?
It looks like it's north and south. Yeah.
Well, I meant, did they split it into 2 teams of 16? Is that why?
Don't know for sure yet. They haven't got. I know they did that on the. We finally got the brackets to print out on 2A, and they did split that straight. 116, 116. So
Yeah, they did the same thing in 3A.
they did the same
Yeah.
thing in 3A too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, they used to try to mess around and do quads and this and that. That just seemed
Yeah.
to turn out to be a mess
Yeah.
every year.
Did they do quads one year, but then they randomly drew who was going to play who?
Yeah.
And that's how we ended up playing to DuQuoin one year before the finals. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was weird. So,
But yeah, I think going into this, you always got to take one game at a time. But we've kind of thought that Byron would be the team if we want to get where we want to go. That's what we're going to have to go through. And it looks like if things go the way we hope they do, we could get them in the third round. That could be another barn burner with them, like it has been in the past.
yeah, it seems like anytime Wilmington or Byron, a game is decided at one of those, either theirs. We've been there once or twice. That I can
Couple
remember.
times.
Twice, and they've been down here a couple times. So yeah, and I think we've about split with them, I believe. So yeah, definitely. It was 1-16. So
Yeah, I don't think there's any surprises.
what's,
I don't think there's any surprises, really.
no.
You know?
Yep, there was no.
In either north and south, really. I mean,
Nope, I think must have been pretty. We didn't see a map on the 3A yet. Looks like it must have been pretty clear cut where they go, because sometimes
sometimes
they
they
have
got
to
to pull
play
a
a
team
couple
up
of
or
teams,
down.
right? Yeah. Who was it? St. Joe Ogden? Did they end up going? They're a little more north, I think.
They're down south.
They're against
So
Williamsville.
they're probably the most.
that's right. Yeah, they got probably pushed down.
Yeah.
Let's see. Where is Durland?
Durand. I'm not sure
Durand.
where that is. Oh, I have to look on next.
That's a name that I didn't recognize right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not familiar. So now we're just kind of waiting to get the 4A seeds to see where the other couple of ICE conference teams are going to get to play, Coal City and Manteno. Hopefully not the first round like already have one conference line up that way, so it would be nice to see them have to play somebody else too.
All right. So Terry is going to take some pictures, I think. Interact with the IHSA pairings. So if you haven't heard, Wilmington gets Lisle in the first round.
And that will be at Wilmington.
That'll be at Wilmington.
Obviously.
We're not sure on a time yet.
And we'd probably play them either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, one of the 3 days.
right, one of the three, or Monday.
Yeah.
Plus or minus rain or snow.
Yeah, no
Right.
kidding. Yeah.
All right, Immaculate Conception defeated Bishop Mac
Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah,
Yep.
last year they're the defending
giving
state
us,
champions.
We're getting the 4A coming up here, so we've got right off the bat, Coal City is going to be the number 1 seed at 9-0, and they have scheduled the Chicago Phoenix was one of the teams that made it. Their record is 3-4, so that's probably the worst record to ever make it, I'm guessing. Then it's Kewanee versus Agricultural Science, which is another Chicago school. Wheaton St. Francis, who could be a good sleeper in there. That's versus Chicago Clark, so you got another Chicago team in there. And then Genoa Kingston is going to be playing North Chicago. So possibly there could be 3 byes in that first round.
Wow.
So that could make it a
Possibly.
little bit interesting, yeah. So, but it looks like I think again, if things go well, I think Coal City and St. Francis in the quarters, that could probably be a really, really good match there. That'd be 2 pretty good teams. Next side of the northern bracket, Richmond Burton at 9-0 versus Chicago Bronzeville. And then you have Marengo playing against Mantino. And then IC Catholic will be playing against Chicago Sullivan. And then Stillman Valley will be playing against Dixon. So, again, that's another loaded bracket. Richmond Burton's very good. IC Catholic we know very well. And Stillman Valley is another good. So that's a really loaded bracket there. That's coming out of there, you're going to earn that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is
4A is just tough.
Oh,
man.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, that north bracket.
And I don't see Morris in there anywhere in the northern bracket, so I'm guessing they're going to be in 5A this year. So here we got the next setup. You got Illinois Valley Central at 9-0 versus Taylorville, Civic Memorial versus Murfreesboro, Tolono versus Clinton, and then Paris will play against Kankakee Bishop McNamara. So Bishop Mac got to go south out of that deal, so they got maybe a little better draw out of that than some of the other northern teams. Definitely not as tough as the brackets the last bracket we said. And then in the 4A bracket will be Columbia, who's undefeated at 9-0 against Roxana, Richland County versus Prairie Central, Effingham versus Breeze Central, and then Benton will be playing Salem. So again, I don't know much about them. Columbia is one of those teams that's always seems to be in there. So at 9-0, they got a pretty good shot there. But yeah, that one bracket definitely looks like that's the killer bracket in 4A.
Yeah, the Richmond Burton.
Yes. IC Catholic and Stillman.
Richmond. I don't know why I was thinking of Rochester. I'm like, wait,
Oh, yeah.
no, I got them confused. But yeah, that is a
Yeah. So we're trying to get all this stuff. We're doing it a lot different than we have in the past. So it's
things are not pulling up the way they used to. IHSA was a little more responsive. Terry could get them printed up. We could go through them and put something up, but I'm getting nothing.
Yeah, it is very slow tonight. Very slow.
and I read that off, but did I miss something? Did I not see Rochester in there at 4A?
No.
I did not see Rochester at 4A.
I just happened to see that. They've
I
never
thought
been
I
in
saw
5A.
they're the smallest school in 5A.
Wow, okay.
Somebody had on their bracket, but you know how that goes.
Wow, that's surprising. Well, again, we were saying it again, but they talked all along. For some reason, everything was going to get moved up this year. So it looks like that's definitely happening. So that's might be a pretty good thing for Bishop McNamara, with Rochester being out of there, and Mount Zion too. Those teams have been ranked 1 and 2 in 5A all year. Yeah, so I would think Bishop Mac could have a pretty good possibility to make it there. They're getting ready here pretty quick to do the 5A. Anything you see in 4A that stuff stands out for you, Jeff?
No, again, there's really no surprises.
Yeah.
We'll see how the strike goes up in the city, and you know what that first bracket had a lot of what we said. There's possibly 3 games next week that might be
all in that
forfeited.
in
that one bracket.
I think
it all 4? Is Clark a?
Yeah,
Chicago Clark. Yeah.
So Phoenix,
there's 1,
AG
2,
Science, Clark, and North Chicago, or those are all public?
North Chicago, I don't think is those.
There's there's 5 teams in the northern bracket of 4A that are all out of Chicago Public League. So there could be 5 buys out of the
There
8
could be,
games.
yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, at least we have yet to see any Chicago
Sullivan.
Public League double forfeit.
right,
Because they said if a double, there could be a double
Just be
forfeit.
that's true. Yeah,
And you could get a second round bye then.
right.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so far I didn't see any matchups that would happen.
Yeah. I don't see really any first-round matchups that I would say, ooh, that's going to be a chance for a big upset. I think I would be surprised if 4A doesn't play out pretty much the seed that first round.
Yeah. Yep.
But you never do know.
No, you never know. You got to go play them.
Another team I noticed, too, who I don't know if they've ever played in 4A before, is Tolono was in 4A.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. They've always been a 3A school.
Yeah, Bishop Mack is. Bishop Mack's three. They got a 8-1 Paris opponent. But,
Yeah.
But, I think that's Paris is gonna have their hands full definitely there. So.
Well, I'm sure, and I mean Paris could be very good, but I'm sure they're not playing the competition
No.
teams that Bishop Mack played this year. So.
And that could set up real nice for Bishop Mack after that first round.
Yeah,
they
but
get a
then
win at Paris.
Yeah, then they get the next game at home.
Right.
So that would, and who knows, what can happen from there.
Right. Well, let me see. I'm going to see if I can get a hold of Coach Reentz here, guys. Get him on the line here.
Okay.
We're going to 6A, right?
Well, we got 5A.
Oh, we got 5A coming up.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can get him on the phone.
Okay.
All right. So, again, back to 3A. Lilac is going to come to Wilmington, and in 4A, Phoenix Co-op is going to go to Coal City.
And Mantino's going to Marengo.
Mantino's going to Marengo, and Piatone's going somewhere. Where's it? At Spring Valley Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spring Valley Hall. Have they really missed the playoffs, haven't they, the last couple of years?
They've been down for a little bit, but
Yeah.
they're starting to come back. But they've also been in 2A for a while, so for them
Okay.
to pop up to 3A this year. So.
Yeah, I know in the past Piatone was 4A, so
Right.
they've dropped down.
Okay.
It's always the.
They're taking a little time to get us to the 5A
Yep.
tonight, so.
All right. Well, Joliet Catholic, they are the defending state champions. They lost to IC earlier this year, but here's the 5A bracket. Number 1, Sterling against number 16, Marion Catholic. Number 8, St. Rita against number 9, Glenbard South. Number 4, Hillcrest against number 13, St. Lawrence. Number 5, Peyton against number 12, Fenwick. So we got Peyton at 8-0. So I'm assuming they're, are they a Chicago?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Chicago school, yeah. Boy, it's just surprising to see St. Rita in 5A.
Yeah.
They've always been 7A, 8A, and they're going to be tough. They'll be a tough out for anybody.
Yes.
And I have heard some good things about Sterling. They got a pretty solid squad. Hope there's the next one.
There's the next one. Number 2, Boylan Catholic against number 15, Hyde Park. Number 7, Edmondson against number 10, Marmion. Number 3, Sycamore against number 14, Evergreen Park. Evergreen Park was able to slide in at 5-4. Number 6, Montini against number 11, Elmwood Park. So that is Montini, always a playoff powerhouse. Number 1, Mount Zion against number 16, MacArthur. Number 8, Morton against number 9, Joliet Catholic. Number 4, Kankakee against number 13, Peoria Notre Dame, I'm guessing. Number 5, Carbondale against number 12, Mascuda. So Kankakee, pretty good record. I'd heard they were doing pretty good. I guess I didn't realize that they were up at 8-1. Not sure who their one loss was to.
Yeah, I'm not.
Crete-Monee.
Yeah.
So we got Ray on the fact checking over
Yes.
there on Google. On Google, he's got his phone out. He's on Google checking.
I highly doubt that. Oh, here we go.
All right, number 2, Rochester. There's your Rochester. Number 15, LaSalle, Peru. Number 7, Cahokia against number 10, Highland. Number 3, Marion against number 14, Triad. Number 6, Morris against Terry's in my way. Against number 11, Sacred Heart Griffin.
That's a tough bracket there,
Morris,
too.
Sacred
Yeah.
Heart, yeah.
And then, again, with everything moving up, I also noticed that East St. Louis was not in 5A, so which I'm sure that makes a lot of the 5A teams very happy because they might be the best team in the state this year. So, but there's some good teams in there. A lot of teams with a lot of championships. Rochester, Catholic High, Montini, Sacred Heart Griffin, even Morris. I mean, there's some blue bloods in there.
And Rochester's normally a 4A team, right?
They've won probably 8 of the last 10 4A championships. So for them to go to 5, this is the first time they've ever been in 5A. So it'll be interesting for them.
So Let's see, I know Terry was taking pictures, so
Yeah.
JCA's in that 5A.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, 4 or 5.
Yep, I mean, I would think that. We're gonna cut here. We got Coach Reentz on the line here, so
All right.
we'll get here. Jeff will get the ball rolling here.
Okay. I think I got Coach Reentz. You there?
Yep.
Okay. Coach Reentz on a little bit more.
Yep, turn up Coach Reentz a
All right.
little bit.
All right. I think we're good to go. Go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, so Lyle, first round. Did you kind of expect that? What are your thoughts?
You know what? We had a couple teams in mind, and Lyle was one of those teams. So, you know, you had to wait to see how last night panned out for everybody. But after we looked at things this morning, we thought Lyle, we thought Seneca, we thought maybe Rock Island Home. And ends up we got quite a good Lyle team coming in, and we've already battled once, so it's going to be a great matchup.
For sure. I mean, anything different? Are we going to see anything different from Lyle this time around? I believe their quarterback was hurt after the game, or what's going on with that?
You know what? The quarterback was out a couple weeks after they played us. But he did come back. I do believe he was back last night and even the week before. So I think he'll be back at full strength. So we'll see a Lyle team that's at full strength.
Okay. Jeff, Kevin, you guys got anything?
Yeah, Coach. So just looking real quick, any surprises you saw in the 3A, or did kind of everything play out the way you thought it might?
Well, you know what? I can be honest with Kevin, buddy, is we couldn't get it up on our TV screen, so I really haven't seen it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I got us. Are we feeding into Eureka and a Chicago team? Is that correct, guys?
Yes. Yeah. You guys are. Let me find the 3A.
Eureka's playing Chicago Dunbar.
So Chicago Dunbar and Eureka, we would play the winner of that if by chance we won.
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah. And then the top of that is Byron and Rock Island Allman, and then Durand and Chicago Harlan. So those are 4 at the top. So.
Okay, and so now, guys, with the Chicago Strike, this is going to be one of the most unique years you've ever seen.
Yeah.
If we got all these teams with buys, and from what I understand, I think Coal City's got a Chicago Public League team too. And
Yes,
so,
they do. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a couple. So to me, this playoff thing is going to be a lot of that. How are people going to handle that? Now, for us, obviously, we're going to have a tough Lyle team to play, but. I don't know if I would be a fan or not a fan of not playing for a week. I know it heals some people up, but also, you take 2 weeks off of football. That's, that can be a tough gig too. But also, I'm sure those coaches will do a great job with adjusting and getting their guys ready to play.
All right. I think that's about all we have right now for you. You will find out times later on, probably by Sunday, Monday, right? For sure.
Oh, yeah, my guess is by tomorrow morning we should be okay. I would think right now, guys, I am really heavy that we'll probably be Friday night.
Okay.
We joked about it earlier, Coach. We thought it'd either be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. We weren't sure. So.
Or all 3 days.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. But because we're so familiar with each other and the distance is not a bad thing at all, obviously, because we're in the same conference. I would say Friday at 7 would probably be the time, but we'll get all that worked out tonight.
Yeah. Well, it's always nice when we have this and we get to look at the pairings and we get to see the Wilmington Wildcats in there every year. 24 years in a row. That's quite an accomplishment that you should be proud, as well as the community and the players. So it's really a good thing to keep that going on.
And that was one of the goals of the kids too, and I appreciate you saying that. It takes a lot of time and effort. And, a lot of that goes to our coaching staff. Those guys do a great job. They've been with me for a long time. So, for 24 years, if you had told me that at the beginning, when we first, of all things, we started coaching when we were 24 years old.
Oh, wow.
So it all kind of comes together. But if you would have told me that when we were 24, I would have probably shook my head and said, I don't know about that one. So, but we've had some great kids too, and so. And that was a big goal of our kids every year, is to make sure the streak continues, and our kids were able to do that. And I'm very, very proud of the 8-1 record. But now everybody's back to 0-0, so let's see how we can do coming up.
All right. Well, thanks, Coach
All right,
Reitz,
guys.
and we will see you next Friday night.
Wednesday night.
You got it.
Catbackers.
Okay.
Well, we'll see you Wednesday night. Yeah, but you're right,
I'll
Dennis.
see you Wednesday. How about that?
There you go.
I'll
Okay,
see you
Coach.
Wednesday.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, guys. Have a good night. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Coach Reitz from the Wilmington Wildcats. So pretty much what we expected.
Yeah.
Try to mess with it. We were cutting. Hopefully everybody heard it because we were cutting a little bit.
Was it?
It was cutting in and out a little bit. Yeah. So you could hear it. Okay. Terry says we could hear it just fine.
All right.
Should
we-
have
Did
our
we
next-
get through the 5A?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, so we got to do. Let's see if we can find the 6A here. It's
It should be coming up. I think they're still.
Have they posted
Oh, no,
6
seven.
yeah.
a.m.?
We
Yeah,
got. I
they
got
must
6A right here. So it looks like 6A. We got Prairie Ridge versus Grays Lake North, Simeon versus Lakes, Cary Grove versus St. Ignatius, and Antioch versus Chicago Mather. The next one will be Deerfield versus Crystal Lake South, Chicago Kenwood versus Riverside Brookfield, Belvedere North versus Lake Forest, and Canelan versus Crystal Lake Central. East St. Louis, who we had mentioned earlier, they're in 6A. They play against Chicago Morgan Park, Dunlop versus Rock Island, Richards versus Washington, and Peoria High School versus Shepherd. And then the final bracket in 6A is Chatham Glenwood, who's 9-0, very, very good team this year, against Danville, Lamont versus Springfield, Crete-Monee versus Bremen, and Normal West versus Providence. So just from looking at that real quick, that bottom bracket, that's pretty tough. Glenwood's good, Lamont's always good, Crete's very good, and we, from being in this area, we're all pretty familiar with Providence's runs
Yeah,
they've had
yep.
in the past. So pretty tough one there.
Very interesting bracket for sure.
I don't know if we've got to 7. We've just got
No,
to 6A
I think they
so
say
far,
coming
yeah.
up with 7A pairings here, and they go to commercial. It's like they 1 and 2, man. They just threw at you really quick, and then now we're gonna slow roll the.
Usually
the
they don't
last
start
few.
that till
It's like quarter after or
yeah,
something, or
something
20.
like 10
yeah.
after, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were quick. But it was kind of neat, just talking to Coach Reitz there, though. What an accomplishment in this 24 years. There's not too many teams in the state can say they've had the success that Wilmington has had. I mean, sometimes we take it for granted. Oh, we're going to make the playoffs. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work by the kids, the coaches, like I said, the parents, the community, and to do that for 24 straight years is really just short of amazing. It's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, I told them last night. I said 24 years, Coach. I'm like, that means somebody around here is old.
Yeah.
Well,
And he said he started when they were 24, right?
Yeah.
So-
Wow.
So if we have
There
any
you go.
mathematicians out there, you can probably figure out how old Coach Reitz is.
So he started when he was 24, but the first
that
2
was the
years-
first, yeah.
The first 2 years they did not make the playoffs,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So then that means he's been coaching for 26 years.
Yeah, I believe
Right.
so, yeah.
Math.
Man,
Yeah.
puts him about 38 years old, I think.
Yeah,
so.
it puts him right.
About 38.
Exactly. He's got a while for
I
retirement.
hope he heard that, so I'll
Yeah.
be on his good graces. So
I was kind of surprised that they're having troubles getting the bracket. I mean, it's slow, but
yeah,
Well, I can't get it on my computer.
Yeah.
So at
they're
all.
coming up over here. But yeah,
can't-
that's kind of it's definitely the IHSA website's definitely a little sluggish.
one of the teams that made it in 6A, East St. Louis, which is kind of an interesting story this year because they have, I don't know for how many years in a row, they have always petitioned up to play in a higher class because they're always very, very good. So they've always participated in the 7A level. And this year there was a change, I guess, in their conference, and they basically said you have to play whatever your enrollment is. So there was a possibility they're going to be in 5A, but they jumped into 6A. But that's
The conference said that, or
yeah.
IHSA? Yeah,
No,
oh,
it's the conference because there's other teams that are playing up, but East St. Louis is playing their regular
Yeah.
thing. So, but there's been talk that might be the best team in the state of Illinois. So,
Yeah. Well, they got Morgan Park, Chicago
Yeah.
Morgan Park.
so 6A,
So there you
6A
go.
is going to be a barn burner. So, they're just showing up the Class 7A bracket, and we got another team who's being touted as maybe one of the best teams in the state this year, Chicago Mount Carmel, playing Blue Island Eisenhower, Glenbard North versus Lyle Benet Academy, Chicago Phillips versus Lincoln Way West, and Normal Community versus Revis. So that looks like
Chicago Phillips, which is really have the enrollment of a 3A team.
yeah, they have 525 kids. So yeah,
4A.
and they've actually petitioned up to play in 7A if the strike goes if they get the strike ended, then they'll get to play. So the next bracket is Hersey versus Rockford Auburn, Andrew versus Lake Zurich, Willowbrook versus Moline, and an old Northeast Conference foe, Yorkville, playing Thornton Fractional South. So that definitely is not as tough a bracket as the one I just read before that. So Yorkville's probably got a chance to advance out of that pretty good, I think. Waiting for the north side, or I guess they don't really have north in 7A. You've got the defending champion Nazareth Academy versus Libertyville, Thornton versus Pekin, Batavia versus Thornwood, and Hononegah versus Grant. So again, Nazareth, very, very good team, 9-0, and they're up there again as also being one of the better teams in the state. So 7A is pretty going to be pretty loaded this year, which it is every year though. And just waiting on the last bracket to come through. And here we go. We got Rolling Meadows versus Chicago Lincoln Park, Mount Prospect versus DeKalb, Maine West versus Downer Grove North, and Harlem, another Chicago school, versus Wheaton Warrenville South. So, again, Rolling Meadows is another team that's always in there every year and does a good job.
So, fun fact about Nazareth, right? They lost their first game technically, but then they ended up not getting it changed because the team they played against was playing one eligible player.
Correct.
And he was thrown out of the state final game from the previous year, and even out of state it says he's got to miss the next game contest he plays. So what happened was the coaching staff and the player dressed up as a freshman, and they played this player, and they continued to play him for 7 games. And when it got found out, they ended up having to forfeit all 7 games, and then the school board ended up firing the coach and all the coaching staff for letting them do that. Yeah. And this is a team out of St. Louis.
So at least a good thing it wasn't an Illinois school that
right,
did it. It was
exactly.
actually a school out of Missouri. So, but yeah, they kind of not a good move because they actually were undefeated this year and a very, very good team again, and it's probably going to beat state champs again and try to get that one win. So it's kind of hard to pull that stuff off anymore too, with social media and people talking.
That's
and
how
pictures.
they got him. They got him because of the tattoo. Because he had they said, hey, wait a minute, the player who was thrown out last year had this tattoo here, and hey, this freshman that got 100 and some yards that game. Yeah, that's how they ended up catching him.
There's going to be some good that 7A though. Getting into the quarters and the semis, there's going to be some really, really powerhouse matchups. So that'll be good football to watch. Yeah, they are just really slow tonight compared to what they have been in the past, getting pairings.
I was going back looking at the 4A map, and it's pretty well spread out in the south. Kankakee, the most northern school in the southern brackets. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Terry printed out the map for the 5A or 4A. Excuse me.
No, I didn't see a map. I just got the pairing. So,
and then there's the what do we say, 4 or 5 Chicago public schools that are kind of bunched up there in the city.
Yeah. So, like I said, that'll be very interesting. Like Coach Reentz hit on. If that does come to pass and they have that strike, that's going to be very interesting. There's going to be a lot of buys in that first round.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And sometimes when you got 16 to 18-year-old kids, giving them 2 weeks off might not be the best thing in the world. Right. So,
so here's something. I'm gonna jump back to the 3A bracket on you guys. So Eureka plays Chicago Dunbar week 1, right? Mm-hmm. But if they get a forfeit from Chicago Dunbar, that doesn't count as a home game. So that means Wilmington would, if we beat Lisle, we would have to go to Eureka.
That's a possibility.
Even though
what you were saying,
both of them were higher seeds, since they're not counting as a home game.
Yeah. So
then, Wilmington would.
So you're saying that counts as an away game then, or that counts as a no game?
It counts as no game. So
it's just a bye.
It's just a bye. It does not count as against their home.
So but if that's the case by the rules of the IHSA, since we had hosted a game and they hadn't, we'd have to go to that game. So we'll see.
Correct.
But like I said, we got to get by Lyle first.
Yep, got to get by Lyle. You can't.
always
You can
tough.
never overlay.
Yeah.
You play somebody a second time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a completely different animal.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
You're more familiar with plays.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot harder.
Well, even Coach said that. He goes, we've played so many times against them. They know us. We know them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason we don't need the extra day to get ready because we know what everybody's going to do. Let's just go out and play ball.
Yeah,
And
go out and execute. And it's going to be at the Den, so
yes.
that's a good thing.
Yep, it's always good playing there.
Becker Field / Jeff Reach Stadium.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where does the field begin and the stadium end? The fence.
The
Yes,
fence?
The fence, yeah.
We need to move that fence out a little bit. It's a little tight on those sidelines.
I bet, yeah.
Probably need a new field. Maybe something with some AstroTurf, something like that.
Good luck with that
Right.
one.
Either that
Good
or
luck with
either
that.
that or we got to get a blimp. One of the
Yeah.
two. Right, guys?
I have been pushing that for years, and Cat Backers needs to work on that
Right,
for our
there-
next fundraiser.
There are just
The,
rules against drones, not blimps.
we have a drone, but yeah, we could get a blimp. So,
There was an issue with the drone last night
oh, was
at the
there?
Wilmington game. Yeah, the refs.
Yeah, the ref stopped the
Somebody
game.
called their attention to it, or they spotted it.
Yeah.
They
And
give
they-
it the boot.
Yeah,
They
the
delayed-
guy, the head ref went over and talked to Coach Raints and asked him what that was up in the sky, and of course it was the drone, and so they had to land the thing.
Yeah.
So that was during the game.
Open they're just coming out with the 5A or the 8A bracket here, so we'll see what we got here. We got local team in Minooka at 9-0 playing Joliet West, who's one of the teams that got in with a losing record this year. They're 4-5, but they won their conference. Edwardsville versus St. Charles East, South Elgin versus Oswego East, and Bartlett versus Brother Rice. So Edwardsville coming all the way from down south, but they're always a very good team. So Minooka will have their hands full if that's a second-round matchup. And again, just the one undefeated team in that bracket. And Brother Rice at 5-4 could probably be a tough. They play a very tough schedule. So we got the next bracket is Gurney Warren at 9-0 versus Plainfield East, Palatine Fremd versus Plainfield North, Oswego versus Elgin, and Hinsdale Central versus Bolingbrook at 6-3. Gurney Warren's the only undefeated team there, 9-0, and again, just from reading stuff and hearing, they're supposed to have a really solid team again this year too. Usually, there's a couple other teams usually dominate up there, and Gurney kind of took care of all of them this year. So, but hopefully Plainfield, kind of a local team, can hang with them. The next next bracket is going to be Glenbard West at 9-0 versus Downers Grove South, Maine South versus Loyola Academy, Huntley versus Chicago Taft, and Glenbard East versus Chicago Marist. So that could be a really nice matchup in the second round there. Glenbard West versus the winner of Maine South and Loyola. There's a bunch of state championships between those three teams. So to have them meeting in the second round, that's going to be quite a showdown. And then the fourth bracket will be Lincoln Way East versus Plainfield South. I think that's the third Plainfield team I've seen in the playoffs. Niles Notre Dame versus Barrington, Homeward Flossmoor versus Chicago Curry, and Nequa Valley versus Conant. So Lincoln Way East, again, another 9-0 team that's been very dominant this year. And Nequa Valley actually is a very, very good team. They're 8-1, and their only loss came to East St. Louis, and they only got beat by 4 points. So that could be a pretty good bracket as well. So yeah, just from looking this year, it doesn't seem like there's quite as many undefeated teams as it seems like we've seen in the past.
No, not at all.
But yeah, there's definitely going to be some good matchups in 8A.
Did Jeff fall asleep over there?
No, I'm
Oh,
like,
okay.
just as a side note, Houston's up 4-0 on Washington.
Oh,
in the
well.
World Series.
Yeah,
Yeah, right after
that's all I'm going to say about that.
Right
Yeah.
after we left the meeting last week, Washington went on a tear in the
Yeah, they
seventh
scored
inning.
like 12
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah,
or
I was
something,
like,
yeah.
I saw the next day. I'm like, what? Right when we leave, something happens. There was nothing happening in that game the other night.
Yeah. But it's, like I said, going where we started the night, we were talking about the playoffs. That whole deal with the strike is going to really, could possibly change the whole landscape of the playoffs this year because it's just, nobody knows what's going to happen.
Right,
We won't
yeah.
know until Wednesday.
Right, you won't
And
know,
I'm
right.
not sure if they have a time set I mean,
Well, they have to go to school Wednesday because it doesn't.
Oh, they
count.
have to go to
They
school?
have to go to
Okay.
school. So Tuesday,
Yeah.
technically Tuesday. If strike's not over Tuesday and they're going to school
Okay.
Wednesday, then it's a forfeit across the
Okay.
board.
Yeah, if they call
But
up
that's
school.
all Saturday games then, for
Right.
sure. You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
And so, I don't know, if how many of them are at the
Yeah,
Chicago
hosting.
games
They
or
might have
hosting exactly. You're squeezing a lot of games in.
Well, and they have limited stadiums up there,
Right.
so they might have to even look at that and go, hey, you know what? We can't play till Saturday. We can't get the field. We might have to play at a neutral site or play at the
Right.
other teams. I don't know if they're going to
And remember too, you can't play. You can't start a game after 7.
7 o'clock, right?
So
right.
So yeah, it'd
Oh,
be
on
hard
Saturday
to play
you can't
much
start
more.
after 7.
So it'd be kind of hard.
yeah, I
once
think
you-
Saturday's 7 also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe he started at 10 in the morning. It might be hard to get 4 games in.
Yeah.
In
Right.
a day starting at 7. So it's going to be very, very interesting.
So, do we have anything we want to add? We want to finish it up here. We're about done with with all the brackets are done. Do we want to go
Yeah.
over the 3A bracket one last time?
Sure. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's a good
Let's,
idea.
let's recap the 3A and the 4A.
Yeah. Let's see. I got 3A
Those
here.
are our interested brackets. All right.
So-
you gonna start, Kevin?
Sure.
All right.
So just in the northern bracket there, Princeton and Poplar Grove, Peatone and Spring Valley. So we're familiar with Peatone. We just got done playing them, and Spring Valley Hall has usually been a pretty good program. And then you got Farmington and Seneca, Paxton versus Chicago Carver, and then Byron and Alman, Durand and Chicago Harlan, and us and Lyle, and Eureka and Dunbar. So that's the top half of that bracket. So I think going in, we all kind of thought, again, to get where we would like to be this year, Byron was probably going to be the team we're going to have to play through, and they're probably saying the same thing about us. So
Right.
you got to play the game that you got coming up next and win it. But there's a possibility it could be probably matchup number 5 between Wilmington and Byron in the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be a good game.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it'd be even better if it was down here.
Yes. I think we've had better luck down here than up there. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Jeff, did you want to go over the 4A bracket really
Okay.
quick?
No, I was waiting for Kevin. I didn't know if you're going to do the South or no.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. So in the 3A, then we got Beardstown and Newton, Greenville versus Quincy Notre Dame, Fairfield and Austin Marquette, Breeze Mater Dei and West Frankfort, Williamsville versus St. Joe Ogden, DuQuoin and Monticello, Vandalia versus Verdon, and Mount Carmel versus Carlinville. And since it's 3A, I mean, it's surprising, even though those are a lot of South teams, we've played a lot of those teams.
Yes,
if you look
we
at
have,
the teams
yeah.
we just ran down, we played Mount Carmel, we've played Monticello, DuQuoin, St. Joe Ogden, Williamsville, and Breeze Mater Dei. So we've played about half the teams on that side of the bracket. So, but things I don't know about if you guys have heard, everybody said Williamsville's a very
yeah,
solid
very
team again
solid.
this year, and that was the team that we happened to knock off in the championship a few years ago. So, hey, if we could get another rematch with them, that wouldn't be a bad thing.
I'm sure
would it?
they're thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
They might want it more than we do. So.
Okay, going up to 4A. Coal City, number 1 seeds has Chicago Phoenix, number 16 seed. Kewanee has number 8 seed, has number 9 seed Chicago Agricultural Science. Wheaton St. Francis, number 4 seed, has number 13 Chicago Clark. Genoa Kingston has number 12 North Chicago. Genoa's number 5 seed there. Number 2 seed Richmond Burton has number 15 Chicago Urban Prep Bronzeville. And Marengo, number 7 seed, has number 10 seed Mantino. So Mantino is at Marengo next week. Let's see.
Yep, you're right.
Elmhurst
IC,
IC,
yeah.
I lost my place. IC, Elmhurst Immaculate Conception, is a number 3 seed, and they're playing number 14 Chicago Sullivan. Number 6 Stillman Valley's got number 11 Dixon. Number 1 seed number 1 seed Chillicothe, Illinois Valley Central, has number 16 Taylorville. And this is the start of the southern bracket, by the way. Number 8 Bethalto Civic Memorial has number 9 Murfreesboro. Did I say that right, Kevin?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Murfreesboro or Bethalto? Or Bethal?
Both of them.
Yeah. I don't know about the first one.
Yes, he did good.
Number 4 Tolono has number 13 Clinton. Number 5 Paris has number 12 Bishop Mack. Number 2 Columbia has number 15 Roxana. Number 7 only Richmond County has number 10 Fairbury, Prairie Central. Number 3 Effingham has number 14 Breeze Central, and number 6 Benton has number 11 Salem. So that rounds out the 4A.
Yeah. Yeah, that northern bracket is stacked.
Yeah.
There's some teams that could make some noise in I think a few different classes, or they could compete very well.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Bishop Mack, you're glad you're in the South.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, yeah.
That's a pretty nice
you
draw
got
for them.
You got Columbia undefeated, and you got the team they play Paris at 8-1 and Chillicothe. Other than that, all the teams got 1 or 2 losses. And
Yeah.
like I said, Bishop Mack's probably played a much tougher schedule.
Yeah, they got to be feeling good about that,
Yeah.
I would think.
I'd get in trouble if I didn't bring this up in the southern part of the bracket there. I got to get a plug into my mother and father's alma mater, Effingham, and the home of the Flaming Hearts. So one of the more interesting nicknames you'll ever find on a high school team. So maybe they can make a little bit of run and meet up with Bishop Mack later on down the road.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So some interesting football to be played the next 4 weeks? 5 weeks.
Yeah.
5 weeks.
5
yeah.
weeks, yeah.
5 weeks. And, we're missing the we didn't see the 3A one, but we see they're predicting Coal City to win 4A, but that's a big prediction.
I think so. That's a tough road. It's a tough road.
I'd like to see Coal City knock off IC
Sure.
for sure, but
Yeah, they've won it a couple years in a
they've
row.
won it a
and,
couple years in a row.
they've got the talent to do it, and you just never know.
right. You never know how you got to play
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where
You
you're
gotta play the game.
playing at, what the weather is, and
Just looking ahead here, where's IC at? I lost them.
They're
Who's that?
right under Coal City. They're down.
they're in the bottom part
in
of
the
the
lower
bracket.
bracket, so they'll meet.
Oh, I see them. Yeah,
semis.
yeah. So they'd have to meet in the semis.
But like
yep.
the one game, like I said, they're gonna have to watch out for
quarters,
is
that
the
is.
Wheaton St. Francis,
semi,
who beat
yeah.
IC
Wheaton St.
Catholic.
Francis,
Coal City
right.
could have a good chance to be playing them in the quarterfinals, and that
Yeah.
will be.
It's a loaded bracket.
It's
in the north.
very good.
The
That's-
north is
yeah.
loaded.
That is a tough, and to think that there might be 5 or
5 buys.
5 buys the first
Yeah, that
week.
could react. That could really change a lot of the stuff. Who gets to host and stuff. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Like I said, hopefully they get that settled and they'll get to play that.
Yeah, the games
Everybody
will
gets to
play
play
out.
the games. Yeah, because you want to see them play.
Right,
Right.
right. Yep,
Yeah, you do.
absolutely.
So, like I said, 5 more weeks of football, and hopefully we're hoping to see the Wildcats in DeKalb. I keep wanting to say Champaign.
Yes.
But in DeKalb, so we haven't been there yet. So
No.
we might as well go win a state championship this year while we're at it. And every game the Wildcats play, it'll be on the Christian Internet Sports Network. Be sure to tune in. And same with game times, we'll get those out on the Catbacker Facebook page. John probably will post something on the Christian Internet Sports page, so we'll try to get it to you as soon as we can. We don't know. Coach says it sounds like he wants it on Friday night. They always want it on Friday night
Yes.
or Saturday night, so we'll see what Lyle has to say about the whole situation, and we'll get back with you with a time. Other than that, you guys got anything you want to add before we conclude
just-
the show?
Thanks, John, for letting us use his bandwidth and his all that. Thank you, Terry.
Yes.
Mr. Terry Anderson, for letting us use your shed. Shed sounds so almost like
Maybe garage. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a nice shed. Let me
I
tell
was
you.
going to say, the
And we
shed's
don't-
better than most people's houses.
Yeah,
And we'd also
True.
like to give a special
got indoor plumbing.
a special shout out to our live audience we had here today.
Yeah,
Mr.
of one, yeah.
Mr. Ray Decker was in the house
Yeah, he was able
cheering
to
us on, and
Fact-checking.
he did some fact checking for us,
Yeah.
and so he kept us on our toes.
He didn't even look
so-
at his phone.
No, Ray knows
He's got everything
so-
upstairs. Yeah, he does.
But that's good. But it'd be great to see our conference, represent the playoffs well this year, and I
Yeah.
think we got a chance to win. Some first and second,
Yeah.
and hopefully third and further than that round game. So,
Some pretty exciting
But yeah.
football in the area for sure.
Yeah.
but like last year, thanks for having me. Enjoyed it, and
We were enjoying having you.
hopefully we didn't bore anybody tonight.
Yeah.
Gave you the information we could get to you. And sorry it was a little in disarray because we weren't getting the stuff quite as quick as we normally did. But
We weren't getting things printed out, but thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah.
And so for